Okay, I think we're live. We're here. We're live from the studios, right? As I always say, I'm very happy to start this venture. It's September 1st, and I know September is Dr. Z's favorite month. I know what it is. We can ask the broader audience what it is. I just want to welcome the whole audience. If you put your view into gallery, you can see Susanne Cappendijk as a big person rather than a small. So I think that's helping a little bit. But I want to welcome everybody and thank you for being here. We start a series. So maybe my vision a little bit. So my name is Susanne Mueller. I'm an executive coach. I have some crazy ideas. I think that's all I want to say. So my books are like Take It From the Iron Woman. That's also the podcast and the Lipstick Leadership Living Room that I have every Wednesday. But the book is Lipstick Leadership. And a lot of people are laughing and they say, yeah, lipstick is cute. Did you know the lipstick industry will be a $10 billion industry by 2025? And I get goosebumps saying that because 2025 is just around the corner. And another article that I found is that when we have a recession, people tend, and I want to say people, it's not only women, people tend to buy a new lipstick rather than a new outfit. Isn't that? Wow. You can go to the dollar store, you pay $1 for your lipstick, you look much better. And especially through the pandemic, being on all those Zoom calls, you need to have a lipstick and it makes you much more powerful. You have more self-esteem. Talk to me on lipstick. And I am invited to talk about lipstick leadership in Brussels in October. So more about that. Oh, nice. But enough about me. Now we have the honor of having Dr. Z with us. So she has to tell us how to pronounce the name. It's a little challenging. Dr. Z, so happy to have you. Tell us who you are and your organization, please.
Well, Susanne, thank you for inviting me. A lot of you know me already. My name is Susanne Cappendijk, but I go with Dr. C, C as in cookie, because that is so much easier to pronounce, and it also stands out because I noticed over the years there are a lot of other Susans, Susannes, Susannas. I remember one time very fondly, we were having a workshop, the last live workshop. Susanne was there, Susanna was there, and I was there. So luckily everybody was pronounced differently. So that was like a good thing, but it's easier for the students. It's easier to identify myself. And that is how I've been named for like 30 years already. So almost, so it's well thing. So I am the founder of EDsnaps, and that's also the reason how, or like the way I met Susanne like years ago. EDsnaps is a non-profit organization, and we're focusing on education because education is very important to me and to many other people, and who, well, that's I think like the main gist here. We're focusing mainly on female identifying students, and we started like many years ago. I started working as a volunteer scientist. I had like students coming to the labs, but 5 years ago, I decided that we are going to go as a nonprofit officially, and that's how we launched like EDsnaps. And we're celebrating now the 5 years, made it through the pandemic, barely, but we made it. And now we're going to revamp everything, and we're running programs, Zooms. We just like finished an in-person summer program in the Bronx again. And with renewed energy, we are facing 2022 and 2023. And there's a lot of work to do, I think.
I think to summarize, we cannot stop Dr. Z, but thank God we have Dr. Z. So tell us a little bit, and I want to just go, first of all, congratulations on 5 years, right? So that's a huge milestone, and we will repeat that over and over again. Make sure to mark your calendar for September 14. You can talk about that. It's an in-person event and hybrid, if I understand correctly. And we hear more about this, but STEM education is super important. We just read that article that math and reading is back to where it was 20 years ago. And I said, very sad, but on the positive note, huge opportunity for EDsnaps.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit on the programs that you're offering and then how you became bigger thanks to the pandemic in a way, right?
Yes, definitely. So, you know, I lived for like 20 plus years in Florida, in Tallahassee, and I was there a volunteer scientist in my children's school, like the middle school. And it started with like the girls' science club. And I was really like, you know, designing all these workshops and doing a lot of like fun things. And then a lot of these students said like, well, math is too hard. I don't like this. I don't like that. And just by making it very playful for the students, that was like an eye opener for many of them. We still do the same thing, the same approach. We're folding origami. You could say like, yeah, origami, you know, some people don't like it, some people like it, but you're doing math. You're doing math all the time. But by not mentioning it or like naming it math, it's just the perception. They still do math and they still have fun. The same thing with like, you know, when you see like in the calendar behind me, it's called like, it's our September month, is the Candy Cracker. The Candy Cracker was one of the most like interesting workshops we did for a couple of years. What we have is we have 2 bags of M&Ms, we open them and I challenge them because I was reading somewhere an article that brown M&Ms are not really like abundant in like the bags. Well, I want to see that. I want to check it. So we did that experiment in Florida. Then when I moved to New York, we did the same experiment in New York. Well, it's different over there because the most abundant color here is red. In like Florida, it's green. So it's like, so is there a geolocation like aspect? So you see immediately how that can tie into economy, geolocation, distribution, logistics. Well, we don't call it like that. We call it Candy Cracker. So that's like, and then we make them like, okay, count them out. So they're counting out like the red, the green, the yellow, everything there. And then they like graph it. So it's math, geometry, all kinds of things. And then I find an artist with it that goes with colors, for example, or with shapes, with like circles. So you tie that to art. So instead of like STEM, we're doing STEAM, and we tie everything together. So then I thought like, you know, this is so easy. So my whole curriculum that I designed in Florida, I'll transfer that to New York and I'm done. That was like a big miscalculation, the first one I did. So because the students here they're just different. They are like differently trained. Students in Florida, in Tallahassee, when they are in 7th grade, they all have the same age. Well, in New York, that doesn't hold. So there are a lot of differences, and I have to approach it differently. So then my idea was, we have 5 boroughs in New York. So in 2017, I start with the Bronx. In 2018, I go to Manhattan. Then I go to the other, like to Queens. I go to Brooklyn, go to all the boroughs. In 5 years, we're done. So that's great. That was my idea.
Easy.
So 5 years later, I'm still in the Bronx because there's so much work to do. And also, well, of course, we were shut down by the pandemic. So with the pandemic, we opened our programs up for students who had Wi-Fi, needed to find a safe spot and learn something. So we got students from California, we got students from like Seattle, we got students from like the Midwest, from the South, we got students in Ghana, we got students in Nigeria, and I skipped the other 4 boroughs. But now with the pandemic, well, it's not really, I mean, COVID is still there, but now we have to go back in person, but we still have our Zoom programs. So we needed to get another strategy like designed. So that's why it was so important this summer that we went back into like the Bronx in New Settlement, our partner for like a lot of years, and tested out some of the programs in person with the students and see what is lacking. There's a lot lacking.
What is that? Yeah, what is that? Yeah, what have you found out?
See, so it's like the reading, it's horrible because a lot of our students, we have almost like, well, I want to say 97% of our students are ESLs. So that means English as second language. Well, I have English as my second language too, as you can hear, because
yes,
which is my first language, and English, no matter how, it will still stay my second language because for years and years, and I mean, everybody here on the call who has like English as a second language or another language as second one, you know that you're not dreaming in your second language for a lot of years. And still when you're doing math, you're checking yourself in your native language after so many years, just to make sure that you didn't make a mistake. And that is what I discovered over the summer. The reading of our students, it's horrible. It's really, they can't write and they can't read. And that's what we're trying to do when we are in person, and also when we're online. We are drawing a lot, we are writing a lot, and not on the computer, but by hand. Because by hand, you're doing your fine motor skills, you're thinking with different parts of your brain, which stimulates more like wiring, rewiring of your brain also. And I can say that with confidence because I'm a neuroscientist by training. So I know what I'm talking about. So you rewire your brain, but that takes a while. And that is the whole problem of it, because that is one of the things that you really have to take into account. I can give easy workshops with only working online.
That's easy.
What do you learn from that? There will be no memorization. And that is, I think, what is lacking as well. These kids have been staring at screens, well, the same as you and I, most likely over the last 2 years. You're staring at the screen, you're only staring at the screen, and you're like, yeah. We make them work, and we make them think, we make them problem solve, and that doesn't have to cost much. All these programs where you pay like $1,000 for your kids to enroll in like a workshop and doing robotics, no. You can do it with 2 bags of M&Ms, and I can create a whole program around that one, and I ship it to them. I supply it for like $5, and we can do that. And if everybody would do that like gap, that educational gap, the racial gap, all the other types of gaps, they would be solved much, much faster, much more efficiently, and the kids would starting to think again. And that is what I really would like to advocate and to promote, and get rid of all these like expensive programs, because they are not going to teach you anything. And they are not covering the gap. They are just pushing numbers. They are talking a lot, but they don't walk a lot. And that is my problem that I sometimes have, because we're working vertical with the students. We're a small organization. We have to stay in business, but once we deliver, all our students are successful and they all realize what is done. So that seed is planted, and they will like continue there. But it's hard. I mean, but that's my take on it. So
that's why we
long
need
answer. And
I saw Cynthia, and she's a rewired educator, right? So she was clapping. And I mean, education is very dear to my heart. I was also in India with a women education project. I know we need to support each other, and we need to extend it to others. And I couldn't agree more with you that we need to do something. And I, as a coach, I always say, please write your goals down, because there is this connection between the brain and the hand, and you get more excited. And also what I think is, if we have it on the computer, you forget about it. If it's on a piece of paper, yes, you might put it somewhere, but I wrote once something down, I think my goals for 2012. And when I was cleaning up my bookshelf, I found this little paper. I was like, oh my God, this is interesting. So you find it again, and you have a huge aha moment.
Exactly. And I was reading this morning, I get these, I teamed up with an organization in the UK, and they have all kinds of like ideas, and they are crazy ideas, the same as you and I have once in a while. And it took her since 2008, she had a great idea, but she didn't have the time, she didn't have the money, she didn't have the people around her, the support network. So finally it materialized like this year. And I'm like, well, there's still hope for me as well, because I still have like 2008 ideas. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's like, it's there, it will come back. But once you write it down, it is in your memory and it will get back there. But indeed, like, you know, and I still like to read. I mean, I love my Kindle when I'm traveling, because I can take a lot of books with me, but I still always have like 1 or 2 books with me, because if my Kindle breaks down, if I'm stuck at the airport and there are no outlets, I cannot read. So I always have like 2 books with me, and then my husband takes the other books with him, because that's heavier in his backpack. And then you can just read, and I just love it. And it's like, and sitting there and letting your mind flow and letting that go in, and then start doodling a little bit and start drawing. That is what I want our students to do as well. And this summer we created booklets. Every week we created a booklet without staples. So first we learn that like kind of mechanism there. We go on field trips, we see opportunities. Show them the opportunities, because then they start thinking, and they don't want, once they start thinking, they don't want to go back anymore. And that's what you want to do. You want to install that passion, that love for some form of education, it doesn't matter. And they discover a lot. They discovered like in a furniture store that, yes, we need people who have majored in English. Yes, we need psychiatrists. Yes, we need engineers. And the same with like other companies that we did field trips to. You need people from all walks of life. So don't pin yourself down on like that only thing. I need to study biology because I need to go there. No. You can vent out there, and that is an important part, I think. So if we get that message a little bit better out from all of us, that would help a lot too.
Okay, we're here to help. And we talk about small business owners and solo entrepreneurs and the benefits, like how to create, that's my vision, to create like a, I don't know, a support system. I haven't found the word yet, but something like a support system people can tap into. We can learn from each other. We're here for each other, because when you think out loud, that's when the great ideas come. And you know somebody, I know somebody who knows somebody, so we can get to the right people. But as a solo entrepreneur, and I know it has been challenging this summer, people are like, oh, they hear the big R word, the recession. It has been challenging, right? So how can we support you and your organization with funding, and how do you get to the money that you need, and how much money, how much more do you need?
Yep, well, see, that's a good question. It's like a support network is really important. Of course, we have a lot of people that are doing in-kind donations, and you need them as well. So I started building that first, because as you know, you can have the most brilliant idea, but people don't believe you once you get like, if you don't have data. And since I'm a neuroscientist, I worked a lot, many years with data, and I still work with data because I work on different types of projects as well in the for-profit business world. So you need to build a support network. You need to start finding people that can help you, and then what do you need? And it's like, I've seen like organizations there, they have like the big companies, but then the companies are taking over and they dictate what you're going to teach the students. So I was not pleased by that, because my students, they survive from one week to another. They sometimes don't have food during the day. So by teaching them how to work with stocks, that doesn't really help. I want an in and an out. So that's why I had one of my board of advisor members show them really like what it is to have simple accounting. You get in and you get out. That's it. How can we preserve some money? How can we see opportunities? How can we increase your quality of life? And that is not by giving them a 7-week workshop and I get like 10,000 from the company and they run the whole program for me. So that's kind of like what I did in the first years. I refused to take money from like bigger companies because they're going to run EDsnaps. No, that's not my idea. And I didn't have the data yet to prove that my idea was working. So I funded like EDsnaps myself in the beginning year, and that's how we got started. And then I barter a lot. So it's like, you know, you help me, I help you. That's how we support each other, and we are there. So finally now, after 5 years, our first like students that were in our year 1, they landed their first jobs and they're all very successful. So that is the data that we can show now. And now it's time to get like, to start with the real job. It's the really serious job, yeah. And Dale, who is also on the call, he is leading our fundraiser team. So the fundraiser team is going to help me, and I have to write and compile all the documents. And we are going to go after like bigger companies now. And we have the data to show now like how we want to approach like the gaps and how we can help the students. And we need a lot of money now, because now it's time that we have different programs. We run leadership programs. We have the spring recess coming up. We have the summer programs coming up. And in that way, what I do is I pay the students paid internships. So we have an e-magazine team, we have a literacy team, we have the counselors team, we have the internship teams. And they are coming to us, and those are sometimes students that have been going through one of our programs already, so they know how we work, how we think. They lead the programs, they help the younger students, they put that on their resume, so their quality of their resume goes up. they have a better chance of like applying for whatever job they want, or if that is like going to a university, going into a vocational program, doing something else, but we can help them then. So that is where I need more money to put in. I haven't paid myself for the last 5 years, so I really would like to have that one as well coming in. Oops.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
It's like,
and we see questions like, could you write out the acronym you are saying for the organization? It's EDsnaps, and we also have the edsnap.org, and it's focusing on STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, math, and don't forget the A for art.
That's good. So it's over there. So Danielle is taking over there. That's really cool, because Danielle is my lead on the, or my lead, our
fantastic.
lead on the CLO leadership program in the US. So this is really taking off there. So it's like, so the things are like, the money that we have, and what you see sometimes is like, you know, the bigger organizations, they say, if you donate $1, 56 cents goes to the programs, and the 44 cents are going to our staff and our other things. So what I have, like for the last 3 years, especially like in the COVID situation, is if you pay $1 to us, $1 goes back to the students and supplies. So that's like kind of like, that's what we do. We had the situation, of course, when we went in 2020, we totally went from like one day to the other day in Zoom. So the problem was with the students, because all the students were like supposed to have internships and research projects. So the thing was like, I couldn't do this, because there was nothing there. They couldn't go to the companies, they couldn't do anything. And I'm like, okay, what are we going to do? So I discussed with the students. I said, look, I can pay everybody like full time, but then I have like 4 or 5 I needed to turn down. I said, or we can go part-time, and then I can pay everybody. So collectively, all the students decided we're doing it part-time, and everybody got something there. And it's like, and it was the biggest like event we had, and we had like so much fun during our 2020 program. So 3 of those students came back this summer as counselors. I met them for the first time, and it was like wonderful. So in that way, it's like those were learners in 2020. And in 2022, they all 3 gave their first workshop in person. They were all counselors. They were like responsible. So it was really, really paying off. So with these data now, I can show that we are doing actually really good work. We're building problem solvers. We're creating leaders. And Dale is going to take that with the team, and they are going to put that one into like a format that we can approach bigger companies and say, look, you're talking here about diversity, inclusion. You're talking about like, you know, really creating leaders. Well, that's what we're doing, because our like diversity, we have people from all walks of life, and we have all kinds of ages. We have all kinds of like geolocations there. So we are fitting exactly what they are looking for. We're like totally in that checkbox. Well, we have been in that checkbox for many, many years already, but nobody paid attention to it. Suddenly, these are like the hot words, like for the last 5 years. We are doing it already. So we have the data. No, we don't have 500 students a week, but we don't need to, because we are 100% success. And that's what I can say with confidence. So that's what I have to translate.
So what would you do with $100,000 if somebody just sponsors, or is 100,000 too much to handle?
Oh, with $100,000, I would go into like the Bronx. I would go into Washington Heights. I would like rent some of my staffers and some of my volunteers, and I would say, this is the program we're gonna run, and we're gonna fly. And it's like, and I would go to the school next door here, and I would say, you know what, I'm coming in, and we would like rein in like the people like in Kenya, and in the summer, I would fly over some students from Colorado. I would fly over some students from Ghana. They would meet in person, and we would like take it away, go on the field trips, make them learn as much as possible, take that knowledge back to where they come from, and start chapters over there, and then move out in like the circles and create the little hubs everywhere. So that's what I would do with 100,000.
We put that on the plan. We need to put it on a piece of paper, and the audience is listening carefully. Somebody knows somebody who has like $100,000 that we can spare in a way.
I can spend it, and I'm not going to spend it on my nail polish and on my lipstick, but but you made a good point there with the lipstick, because I was at one time I was at a webinar and they were talking about like, what is that called? The hair extensions. That is even a bigger industry, which I didn't realize. And I'm like, oh my gosh, but it's true. It makes you feel better. It's like, you know, I have my lipstick, I have a certain color that I like. And of course now, and I can't say the brand because I can't promote the brand that I'm using, but the company just like went bankrupt, and that is devastating because I get Botox lips from the other like lipsticks. So I can't wear any lipsticks there. So I know Botox is really in, but I have those Barbie lips that are popping up if I have the wrong lipstick. So I have to be very careful. So
maybe.
So I went down to like the CVS and I was like,
you bought everything.
I bought all these colors. I'm like, I don't care what color is now, but I need those lipsticks now. So it's like, but it's true. It's like, it makes you feel better because I can sit in my pajamas in front of like a Zoom. No. I have my dress on today. Why? Because then I'm sitting up straighter. I have more confidence. And that's what we teach the students as well. I said, you can wear baggy pants. When we had like in the summer on Friday mornings, we went swimming. So I'm not wearing my business suit when I go to the swimming pool. So I had my jeans on and my shirt because I can roll it up, put it in the bag. It doesn't matter if it gets wet or what. But I said, when I go to the company, you will see me in a dress.
Oh, yeah.
It's professional. So it's like, so we teach them as well, that kind of, so, but Dr. C, I don't have a dress. Like, well, that's why we go to the Fair Trade Center.
And look at, that's why I'm wearing this dress. It's actually a dress, and it is from the New York City Fair Trade Coalition.
Exactly.
So tell us about that.
Oh, that was like wonderful there. So we went shopping, and Miss Coralia was there as well. So
it was great.
It was fantastic because we got to
maybe tell the listeners what that is like, and maybe some more people can go there. Yeah.
So the North Fair Trade, I have to say it, New York City Fair Trade Center. It's like a mouthful. So they are taking in used clothes and they are cleaning them up. They are sorting them out with volunteers. You can go there and you can bring some old clothes with you that you want to donate. And then for like $10, you can find outfits for yourself. They weigh the amount of clothes you're taking back. And then you take them.
And I want to say they actually create data, you know, for you. They create data with the Department of Sanitation, so they can say, we took in X amount of clothing. Right? I think that's an important point.
And it was so funny because on the checkout, the students, they had like clothes there and they weigh the clothes that you're bringing home. So I have the data as well. So we got over, I think, if I have to say, if I remember correctly, over 58 pounds of clothes with like 10 students or so. And it was like amazing. But the thing was also like, we tie that also to like the environment. So it's like, first we had a walk, and one of the organizations that like the NYC Fair Trade Center teams up with was a steward that goes around in the neighborhood and takes care of the trees. So we first learned about that one, then we walked back into the center. So we learned all about like how often people are using like their garments, how well they are doing, taking care of that one. How do you bring them back and make like the sustainability? How do you make people aware of it? And I thought that was a very, very good like way to get started. And then we went there, and some of our students, one of them found a sweater and shoes. Another one found like a little business like jacket that she can wear when she goes like on an interview on Zoom. So it's like all kind of things there. And it's like, and that is really what you want them to learn. It's like, okay, if I don't have much money, where can I find things? And that is the same with me. It's like, you can say like, you know, I need clothes, I need to be representative, but I do not need like 600 outfits. I mean, that is, I like to go shopping, but there's a limit there. And I think like once you make people aware of that one, or that they can make their own clothing, or that they can help out and prevent, you can do little things there. But once they start thinking about it, because they learned so much, because they're like, oh, I thought we just went shopping, but I learned so much more. And that is what you want to do. The same as when we went to the Brooklyn Grange. That's one of the biggest like rooftop gardens like in the world. It's in Brooklyn. We went over there. They had no idea. We had students that were interested in like the produce, but we also had like counselors that were working on like urban agriculture. So they were interested in like, how do you put the soil in there? How do you put the construction in there? We had like people that were more interested in the engineering part. It's like, how do you like water these plants then? But then how does that work? And it's like, well, that's what we're here for. We learned about pollinators. Well, we learned about pollinators when we were at the Fair Trade Center in the neighborhood there with the trees. But we learned also about them in like when we visited the Brooklyn Grange. So there are a lot of different aspects and angles to look upon the same thing. But just by giving them those angles, they start thinking, and then it's like, oh, but I already did that. Yeah. And then you can see it coming in there. So we have them write that down in the booklets. And in that way, they learn a lot. And that is what I want them to like start working on that one. So we have a block party coming up in the Bronx in like on the 10th. And we're going to make them a little bit more open for like the spring recess, and then start working again with the field trips. We had a lot of students, I don't want to go to a museum. Why would I go to a museum? That is stupid. Well, then, of course, at the end of the field trip day, they don't want to leave the museum because it's so interesting. I'm like, oh my gosh. It's like, so it's like, and you know why they are doing that, because sometimes they are 12, they had like a fight with their grandma in the morning, so they are mad at their grandma. That doesn't mean you have to be mad at me, but it's like, that's how it goes. So it's like, you know, well, you have a choice. If you don't behave, you either stay at the office with the staff, or you shape up and you come on the field trip with us. It's up to you. You make the decision because you're a person. I respect your decision, but then don't come afterwards to me and complain. So then they bound in and everybody goes on the field trip. They have like a lip hanging in the subway trip. But once they're at the museum, they're taken. And that's what you want to expose them to. And the more we can expose them to this, the more people are like starting to think about it. They see their potential. And it doesn't matter if you're growing up in the Bronx. It doesn't matter if you're growing up in other things there. You need to see the opportunities. And that's what we're doing.
And I want to point out something and congratulate you. You also had a few participants with autism, right? So, I mean, that's an added element of responsibility, of challenges. So maybe tell us a few things about that. I think this is really amazing.
It has been wonderful. So our students, 2 of them I met in one session in person in 2021 in the fall, and we had to go like online with the after school program because it wasn't safe. So I said, you know what, instead of like going flip-flop all the time between like in person and we decided to keep everything online until like the summer now. So 2 of the students were there, and then I got a 3rd one also with autism, highly functioning. And they did so well in the program. The highly functioning like student only loved pink and triangles, and that was it. Didn't speak much, but it was the only program, her parents told me, it was the only program that clearly interested her, that we were showing and doing. And one day she showed up in an orange shirt, which was totally out of line for her. It had a little bit of lace on the side, and clearly she paid attention to what she was wearing. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I said, this is beautiful. Didn't say anything. Next time she was back in pink, but then she only likes triangles. That's the only shape she likes. But we did the whole program, and at the end of the program, we're like waving out and saying goodbye to the after school program and moving into the summer program. And we were drawing like a music car. And the thing was like, you have to put 2 or 3 notes on your car. You have to put a clef on the car, and you have to draw a keyboard. She drew a rectangle with triangle shaped like keynote plays in there, but that doesn't matter. She drew like a whole rectangle. So she changed her clothing and changed her shape. So that tells me we're doing something well. And then her parents like commented on that one. She is not able to go in person in the summer program because it's too much for her. But the other 2 participated. And one was like asking questions during our field trips and did a fantastic job. And I'm creating now at the moment a project for her for our garden, because we have a bed in the garden in the community center. And she likes nature a lot. And since I'm not able to go there every week and she lives around the corner and we can get a staff member from New Settlement to accompany her, she's going to get like the assignment of like recording what is going on in the garden. So we're going to plant some bulbs, we're going to plant some herbs, putting them up for already like growth and harvesting in the spring program. And then in the spring, we're going to clean out that bed. She will be in charge. And then we have our produce in the summer again. So it's like long-term planning, but it's like things like that, that we can teach everybody. Everybody that is in our program has a disability. And some of us have visible disabilities, some of us, it doesn't show. And that's perfectly fine. But we find the person in that disability and you give them the respect. I made a big mistake this summer. I had a student who was 10 years old. And I didn't realize that until it was, of course, too late, almost too late. So I'm writing down some numbers because we were going to play a game. And this student responds, I said, "What's your age?" And she says 10. And I'm like, "Was that you?" And then she says, "Yes." I said, "You're not 10. I said, "You're 14. She's like, "No, I'm 10. And I made a huge mistake because she did something the day before and I was like, not punishing her, but I corrected her. And I said, "You are in big trouble because you should not make that mistake. And I have to report it to the parents." So I assumed she was 14. Since she was 10, it was a perfect decision she made because of her age and her cognitive development. So what I did, I dropped my pen, I went to her immediately, and I said, "I have to apologize to you." And she looks at me like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "I got you into trouble yesterday with your mom because you made a decision that I did not find very attractive and wasn't a positive decision. But I said, I assumed that you were 14 and not 10. But hindsight, I said, since you're 10, it's perfect. It makes perfect sense." But the fact that I, as an adult, apologized to her in front of the whole summer program participants, she was like, "Yeah, you're a person. You are flesh and blood. You're not a number in our organization. We treat people as humans." And that is, I think, like the difference we have. We make that one, and that connection you can make also in Zoom. It's more difficult, and it's difficult, but you can. Yeah, it's like, and you know, when we have those summer programs in Zoom, I dance like in front of the camera. I don't really care, as long as our daughter is totally ashamed, of course, when she was volunteering, but that's fine. But I do these things, and I get enthusiastic when we're building electrical circuits and it works and it doesn't work. And that is what I want them to show them, that they are persons as well. They have an opinion. It doesn't matter if it's not the same opinion as I have. I respect your opinion. But you have to make the right decisions, and I cannot make a decision for you. But I apologized, and I'm like, "Oh my God," I said, "I am so sorry." And then I contacted like the director of the program. I said, "You have to tell the parent that she was not in trouble because of her decision." I said, "I made a mistake. So please convey that to the mom, because I know the mom is very strict. And it's like, and she gets into trouble." And I'm like, no, I should be the one in trouble today. So that's what I convey to them. And after that, you know, you can ask anything from the student, because she knows that you respect her. And that is, I think, a lot of things that's happening. A lot of these organizations, they go in there for the numbers, and they're like, "It's really good," and they get like thousands and thousands of dollars. They spend it to the CEO program. The CEOs are earning 180,000 a year. I'm like, well, I wish I could do that too, because then I could like the program, of course, but that's like another thing. But that is like, it's somewhere, it's like a little bit like off there. And by putting like people of color on your board, or by doing that, is not gonna cut the deal. No. You have to start like really like at the low, well, not lower level, the younger level. And that's why we also decided for this coming year. Usually we work with 12 to 18 years old. We're working now with 10 to. 75-year-olds. So it's like it's like expanding a little bit there, because
nice.
we need to get them younger, because the experience we had over the summer with the 10-year-olds was amazing. Yesterday I was on the team call with Ghana, and they had a request, because we had, like, in our first program there, a 10-year-old, and she was like blossoming there. So Elizabeth, my colleague, she was asking Susanne, is it possible that we are decreasing the age from like 12 to 10? And I'm like, oh,
Sure.
fantastic, because
Sure.
we already made that decision already for like our programs here in the United States. So we're starting them a little bit younger, and I think that is going to work really, really well. So that's kind of the approach we have now, but treating them as persons, showing them that you respect them. I think that will help a lot. And if everybody could do that, I mean, yeah, that would be great, I think. And that would help a lot with, like, you know, you make them feel at ease. And when people are at ease, they are learning much easier. They're more open-minded, and they're more relaxed. I mean, if you see the pictures of our summer program, I sometimes send a picture to my mom and dad, and they're like, oh, they seem so relaxed. I mean, they're lying on the floor making a science fair poster. Who's doing that? See, that's the whole thing.
Funny.
And those are science fair posters made with ice cubes, because we are testing an ice cube experiment.
Yeah.
You can make anything.
Anything. And people who check Dr. C's LinkedIn profile, I was there yesterday. She added a picture, and you see the students there. Everybody is smiling. So if you look at that picture, you can be only a proud person to be part of the organization. I just want to make sure we have many lovely guests here. If anybody wants to come off the mic or ask a question, I mean, I think we can talk for hours and hours and days, but the most important things are the block party, September 10, can people attend? And then September 14 is an important day, right? And we want to see what you picked up this morning. This needs to be on the video.
Yep, that's the first one. So September 10th is like a block party at New Settlement. So they are celebrating 10 years. And since we are partnering with them for 4 years already with the girls program, we are invited there. We are going to do a really cool, oh yeah, a really cool.
More cool stuff from Dr. C. She doesn't stop.
So I have so much fun in doing this. As I guess. So we're going to work on like hearts. We're going to work on cats. We're going to work on blue bananas, and we're going to work on stars. So my idea is, since we are like working on a spring recess program, we're going to go full blown from 9 to 5. New Settlement is pitching in. They are doing the 3 to 5 like aftercare, so the moms don't have to worry about like care for their children. We're taking care of most of the day, so it's kind of like a mini summer program. And what I want to do on the block party is making people a little bit more aware that we're doing fun stuff. So they have to come up with names. Our team is going to be Brilliant Blue Bananas, and that is going to be a fun thing to do. Of course, I have here a yellow banana, because the blue banana doesn't really work on the screen.
Yet.
Not yet. So that's what we're going to do first. And then on September 14th, we are partnering up with the Black engineering team at Spotify, and we are going to do our showcase event. So they are hosting us at the 71st floor, like on Broadway. So we have a beautiful view.
Wow.
The summer programs are being, the summer cases, what our students have been building over this last summer. We're going to showcase them. We're going to present our first book in print. And I have like a test, like
clap. Yeah.
10 chapters. So it's uniqueness and belonging. That is our first e-booklet in the series, in the STEAM series. Our second one, and Susanne already talked about like the importance of support networks. So our second one will be layered circles. And the third one will be an like everlasting fractal, because fractals are in our brain, in our snowflakes, in the trees, everywhere you look, there is a fractal there. It's a never ending like form. So that will be our book in 2024. So that's kind of like the series that we're working on, but this one will be there. You can actually touch it, you can open it, and a lot of people are in there. This is Alex, for example. We have a lot of like different
Miss Coralia. Can we see Miss Coralia?
Yeah, we can show Miss Coralia again. So like it's really cool. It's like
this is just so beautiful.
We have like Sophia, who just started like as a freshman here at Baruch. We have like poems in there, so it's really great.
Fantastic.
We have all kinds of like creativity, and people from all over the world have contributed there. So we have a lot of like different types of students. So that's like one of the things we're doing. We're showing that one. We're like presenting our 2023 calendar over there with pictures from the summer, featuring some of the uniqueness of our students there, because our third week was like watchable wow women, and these like younger students are really women to watch. So that's why they are featured in the 2023 calendar. If you're not able to be there like in person, I'm going to put that up in like a feed, and we're going to show it there. So that will be the first 45 minutes. People can walk around, they can support, they can meet each other. After that, I have to officially open the evening. So I'm working on a speech. I have to write it down, of course, because otherwise I will forget certain things. And then after that, we are going to have a panel discussion, which makes me also really, really proud. It's going to be social impact and leadership in the community. And one of our 2020 learners, Mimi, who is also the editor-in-chief, she is going to attend the panel discussion for the first time. And she and I are going to represent like EDsnaps, and then the Black engineering team is coming in with a couple of panelists as well. And we're going to see how much difference is there between the Black engineering and EDsnaps, and is there a difference in leadership in the community? Are we all working for the same goal? How is that going to work out? I don't know. So it's going to be very challenging. And since we are on Zoom, it's from 6 to 9 Eastern Standard Time. On Wednesday, September 14th. That is our other big event. And Danielle is going to kick off at the end of September the CLO Leadership Program. We have mentors in there, mentees. Everybody leaves their personality at the door and their titles at the door. So everybody is at the same play level. We match up high school students with like CEOs from small startups, from bigger startups. Doesn't matter. Everybody creates a product there, and everybody is learning from each other. So that's kind of like what we have in place there. And
Danielle said, I secured our first speaker this morning for the CLO program. I think everybody likes to pitch in, and I said before we recorded, if you ever need a coaching session, I'm here. I'm happy to contribute. I just want to open up if somebody has a question or a comment for Dr. C. Now would be the time maybe to share with us.
Yep, Cynthia, go ahead.
Cynthia, yeah, introduce yourself. And
I am so excited to meet you, Susanne. You are just
I'm sometimes a bit too much, but that's okay.
No, you're wonderful. You're absolutely wonderful. I'm going to give you a little bit of history of where STEAM comes from, and you are the teacher that has brought full circle. In 1990, were the first business school partnerships created in the United States. Those were called PI, Partners in Education. Some people call them something different. We in Seattle called it Private Initiatives in Public Education. And we began by linking every single high school with a major corporation and a hospital, because that gave as broad of resources as you could get in a city. We had 100 schools, and all 10 high schools got those two big resources. Then there were 10 middle schools. They each got a medium-sized company or business. We had everything from Boeing to Seafirst. Today, down in SeaTac, which is our airport, we have the International Aviation School, which culminated from those beginning partnerships. And it's spectacular to hear what you've done with that concept. What are we going to say, 35 years ago? I mean, the White House sponsored business partnerships, and I got to go every year for about 7 or 8 years, just because the White House loved what was going on. And today they've become the partnerships have become STEAM. I mean, it finally state government, state education departments have realized they needed to formalize it and make it something that is truly integration of curriculum. So thank you so much, Susanne. Thank you.
Thank you for that like clarification, because that's like amazing. And it's like, once you get it, it's like really an easy concept, but to sell it to other people and say like, look, you know, this is what we need to do. This is how we should approach it. It's like, it's people are like, yeah. And then they put it aside and then that's it. But I think like if we keep on going and we just keep on presenting, you can't give up now. I mean, it's like, and no matter how bleak the situation is, as Susanne said, also, it's like we're back at the level of 1975 with the students and 1979 in respect to like math and reading. And I'm like, that shouldn't happen now. It's like it's and so we still have to like get in the companies, and there's always somebody in the company we can find, but it's sometimes hard to find the people. But once you find the champion, then you can launch. And that's what we did now with a couple of companies, with some new partners. They see what the value can be and should be. Right. And now we can go forward. So thanks so much for your comment there. And I'm definitely coming back to you because there's a lot of experience.
Yes, I would love to share some more with you, Susanne, because it's incredible to see. Do you follow the applied learning national standards? There have been national standards written for applied learning, and that's what we need to teach teachers. They don't know about them. They're following state standards, but not applied learning standards, and it's very exciting. Thank you.
That's a huge part of every workshop that I'm offering. I have the codes for every workshop, like on national level and on state level, because in that way they recognize that one. Because sometimes they don't recognize it when we're doing bubbles and we're writing poems. They're like, yeah, right, you know. But it's like if you put like the code on it, then we're good to go. So that's one of the things that I've been starting to do, like in the first like workshops I gave. What are the standards that I need to apply to, or like have myself hold accountable for? We never ever decrease the level of like education and quality. No, that's not what I'm doing. I'm not giving in on that one, because to be popular or to be like, you know, get more students. No. So we keep the standards very high.
Right.
And I want to add to something, like we should not give up trying, right? So me and Destiny, she was my mentee and we're still in contact. She was helping me when the book came out, Lipstick Leadership. We sent it to Kamala Harris and we got a thank you note. So my book is in the White House, wherever it is, but we send it there. We were courageous to do it. I think it also takes courage to do that. Like, what if they put it somewhere? This will go to the White House. Yeah, I think we need to do.
Maybe we should do that. Like, give me that address where you send it to, and we'll send one of the books. So this is gonna be.
We have the address. We have the address.
We're gonna do that. It's like
well,
that's, you know, I still have a couple of speakers on my list that I really would like to have as like kind of a panel discussion, but still working on that one. So
okay. We'll get there. And I think that's why we start small. So I started the series last month. That might not have been the best time to start. But as we concluded, we have to start somewhere. If I push it out to January 1st is not a good day. Everybody's still, I don't know, I don't want to say drunk, but they're still like in party mode. They're sleeping in. That's not a good time. So that's why I started August 1st. And August 1st is the Swiss national holiday. On the Swiss coin, we have a very strong woman in New York. We have the Lady Liberty. So that gave me the push to start it. And I always create a word for every year. And this year is leap. So I have to live up to that word. So that's why all that stuff is coming and more good stuff is coming. Any other comments from, oh, Dale, I see just a little hand. Okay, let's just pin you here so we can add you. Okay. Hold on.
I would just add that what Cynthia said about the state of Washington, many other states have tried it, but it hasn't been sustained. This whole sense of partnerships between state departments of education, school districts, the government, business, and everything else. It's peaks and valleys. And a lot of what I'm working on, yes, a part of EDsnaps, but beyond that, in the whole educational system, to go from K through 12 to higher ed and so forth, that it links together in some seamless network where people are working together, where the business community is a customer or a client of the education system and looked upon that way. There have been great efforts in various states. I could go back for the last 10, 15 years or more here in Minnesota where it got going, but it wasn't sustained.
Mm-hmm.
You go and one Department of Education starts it, a new governor comes in, whoa, everybody starts over again. And then you add COVID on top of that, and our statistics, which Susanne just set out this morning on nationally where we are in terms of performance, academic performance, it's going in the wrong direction. So this whole sense of building a system that works together with those high standards where you're not dropping your standards and only to get somebody who gets a 4-year degree, but what are they able to do with it? So all of the aspects of that is built into this. So it's great to hear EDsnaps is a part of it, and that's why I'm here.
And teachers get so cynical that they say, what flavor of the year is it this year?
That's right.
They
Oh,
get
yes.
so cynical because they're tired of,
Exactly.
instead of making these standards and making it something that people integrate into their own state
Yes.
education.
You create
system.
the standard and then you bring your students there. You don't do this and go down that way.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. One more comment or one more question? I just want to say something. I know, like a secret, Dr. Z likes rock music. Tell us more about that. I don't know, did I read that somewhere or I heard it from you, or how does that, there were some personal information on you somewhere.
I'm not sure. So it's like we always have music in our programs. So last year we had, or like the last 2 years on Zoom, we had like victory dance coming in with the residency program. And I like to dance, and I don't really. So some of you might know our daughter Lisanne, and well, Lisanne, face it, the kid doesn't have a choice. She's volunteering whether she likes it or not. So for like 2 summers, she was hunkering down with us, with the family in our home. And she was like studying still on her master's, but she was stuck. So I said, okay, then you'll be my co-host over the summer.
Yeah.
Like, please, mom, don't dance or don't do something weird. And I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. So we have all these music and it's like we're dancing, and I'm like, of course I'm dancing. It doesn't matter. Sure. And then so one of the teachers is asking me, so Dr. C, what kind of music do you like?
Yeah.
And I said, well, it's a little bit harder here. I said, I like different types of music. And then they're like, so what did you like when you grew up? I'm like, well, hard rock music. So I went to Metallica concerts. We had like AC/DC. We had like, I mean, I'm listening to Five Finger Death Punch now. So I'm like, this is not the music that you really want to like, dance upon, because I'm headbanging and that's not good.
Yeah.
So the students were like, really? And I'm like, so I made that mistake because, of course, when I grew up, English is my second language. So I was singing things without even understanding what I was singing.
Yeah.
So I'm driving to work in the car, and Lisanne is in the back seat, like for dropping off at the daycare, because she has to go to daycare. So I'm having AC/DC on in the car, and I'm driving and I'm singing. And Lisanne is like listening and starts to sing as well. And I'm like, oops, maybe that is not the text that we should do. So we went back to Barney, what was that, the purple dinosaur? I'm like, that was like a big mistake I made, because I assumed, of course, thinking the same as I grew up with like the English language. I did not quite understand.
Yeah.
But she understood every word there. She played tricks with us, and our son did the same thing. At home, they pretended not to understand like Dutch, and at like the daycare, they pretended not to understand English. So they played with each other. So I had to learn the cleanup songs from like the daycare provider and things like that. But that's how music played a part in our life. But I am now, you know, I have my headphones and nobody shares my love of my type of music. I appreciate other music as well because I'm classically trained. So I can play the clarinet, I can play the recorder, I can play the French horn, but that's a different story. But like the music that I had was like, you know, it's like a B-52s are perfectly fine as well. So, but there are certain things, but hard rock music is still my, if I need to like relax or I have to write something, put the headphones on, loud music in my hair, and I'm
all right. On that note, on that very high note and loud voice, I think we're stopping the recording, but thank you everybody who came here. We do it again on November 1st. We have Katie from Salta, Argentina with us. She is teaching English to people who want to come to the US, but please join us again. Well, this is my mission, my leap, and uplifting others. So please come again. We'll have fun. And thank you so much, Dr. C and the team. So I'll stop here.
Thank you.